This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, crawlers? This is Steven, your host with Anthology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends, Ben and Jake, on, and we're talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl, the first book, only by Matt Dinniman. And this review might be interesting because I really enjoyed it and have been having a fun time with the series, and Jake has not. And I don't know,
Ooh.
Ben, you're like somewhere in the middle.
I would say I'm on the more enjoying it side of things. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
so
would,
I'll
yeah.
have to keep my review to only the first book because I've been plowing through these. I'm on the sixth one now,
Wow,
and I started a couple months ago. So I found them to be a fun time.
compelling. Yeah, yeah. Same with me. I think that there's going to be some similarities here with Jake's preference, and for example, another series that people are reading right now, being the Dresden Files. I think that there's some similarities there that I think Jake didn't like either of them, and that's not super surprising to me. Um, but I would give this book like a 7 out of 10 probably, and with the thought that it could go much higher than that for the series.
hmm So yeah, I was hopeful that you would like it, Jake, because of your video game,
Yeah.
preferences and but
Proclivities.
yeah, proclivities, there it is.
Proclivities.
But yeah, I guess maybe just too low brow for you, huh?
Um, no, there are a lot of things that I'll say pretty much nothing worked for me, but I want to phrase it
0 stars.
I want to phrase it as there's a lot that didn't work for me because individual things that don't work are okay. Like I'm not a big fan of Dresden. I read the first two and like it didn't seem worth it to keep going. I I'm not a big fan of the you just got to keep reading and then after book five things are good type mentality in general, which I hear Dungeon Crawler Carl is similar from almost everyone I've talked to. They're like, oh yeah, you just got to get to book four and then it's good. But it wasn't. Dresden is leagues better than Dungeon Crawler Carl in my opinion. Um,
Leagues.
Leagues.
yeah, I can like I don't know if now's the time to hop in, but I can just dive in and
Uh-huh.
and go over the things I didn't like. But I gave it a 5 out of 10, and to this day I'm like, was that too generous of a score? I've
To
been
this,
re I've been rethinking just like what does a rating system even mean? And I'm like, should five be more of a neutral? Like I wouldn't read it again.
this book has been so bad for you that has caused you to question
It was a
everything.
waste of time. Yeah. It
But you
was it
did
was a waste of
finish.
time other than the fact, yeah, I finished it just because I was like something's got to happen. My number one complaint is nothing happened in the book plot-wise. There's no plot to it. It's just dungeon after dungeon, which isn't a plot. Like you can play a dungeon grinder video game and it can be tons of fun, but there's no plot to it, and that's what this was.
Okay, but there's character progression.
There's no character progression. The only character progression is new items and like power-ups, but
Okay,
that's
wait.
not
Are we
character
gonna are we
growth.
gonna do like okay, end of spoiler review because I guess or end of non-spoilers because we're gonna
Yeah, we're probably not gonna mess with that. This review is not gonna be super long anyway, so yeah,
I
we'll
don't
just
know.
talk
This
about
might be a
whatever.
dropout, knockout, punching
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
here.
right.
I
We'll
didn't get
see.
into spoilers,
Okay,
but
See
I
who
let's
see
yeah,
who
let's
emerges at
so
the end.
beware spoilers. Not that there's, according to Jake, much to spoil, but
no, I was just saying I didn't spoil anything just then,
well, but if
but
there's right, but
we can
if
dive
there
in.
is a plot, then there's something to spoil. So if there's no plot, then there's nothing to spoil. Um,
True.
So are we just going to uh let Jake have his airing of grievances
no,
and then
I think we should
and then
I think we should have a productive conversation about things that we liked and didn't like, and then we can jump in with Jake.
uh
Okay, that's a flawed mindset to begin with, that the only productive thing is if you're talking good about
Well,
something.
no, I'm just saying.
Productivity comes with the
no,
criticism and
he said
dissecting
he
the
said things we
critique.
like and don't like.
Yeah,
Okay, he's assuming
I'm
that
just
my
saying,
negativity has no
right, but
productivity to it.
no, I'm just saying if we
Yeah,
get sucked into the negativity, then we won't have any chance to focus on the
no,
perceived positives.
the productivity is hearing the positives and the negatives and waiting between the two.
Okay. Okay. Well, I uh, I'll
Okay,
I'll give
so
a few things.
as far as the plot thing, so how is progressing further into a dungeon and like moving along that path? If that's not a plot, how are other books where they're like moving across a country or like moving towards an objective of some kind, right? Like those have, you would say those have
Yeah,
plots. So
Right.
like what is
it's
the difference?
yeah. I think a good example is if we're taking it back to RPGs, take it back to tabletop RPGs. If you're going through a dungeon crawl, what a dungeon crawl usually is just room after room, and your goal is to complete the rooms and get to the end of the dungeon. Those types of like that type of play doesn't there's no plot to it. There's no story to it. You're not after a quest, you're not trying to do you're not trying to do anything other than complete the dungeon versus a dungeon in a story when you're playing something like D&D where you're like we need to get to Cragmaw Castle because we need to rescue I don't want to that might be
Right.
spoiling a 10-year-old adventure, but we have to rescue this
Uh-huh.
dwarf because this dwarf is key to these mines and this new mine that's opening up. And there's this overarching plot of these people that are trying to restart the forge for their own reasons. And this person has their own desires and reasons for it. And they're coming into conflict and there's ups and downs. If
Okay.
you want to,
Okay.
and so the difference between those two is one, the objective is to just check off the boxes of the rooms. And the other one is the rooms are a way to complete the story objective.
So I agree with that, Jake. But that would be like saying I I think that the point of a crawler adventure is the friends you make along the way, right? Like that would be like saying life has no plot, right? Because you're just going day by day, you're just doing your thing, you're just trying to complete the quest in front of you, and then at the end of your life you die and there is no like plot to it. And which is probably a fair reading, but like there's still elements of like virtue that you can dissect from somebody's life, right? There's still
That has no bearing on whether there's a plot, though, whether there's elements of virtue.
I'm not, yes, I'm not, but I'm not saying like, I think that a lot of times those things become synonymous with plot, right? So like if you say
Most
that like,
books, yeah. I'd say, yeah, most books.
if you say that like somebody's relationship with their cat that suddenly became alive is, really starts to grow on you over time and you start to really relate to that. I would say, although not like strictly an element of plot, that is like an element that people would commonly associate with moving throughout a book and having a progression in a book. And
Yeah,
that's
I will say there's a little bit of progression in just the fact that they went from their relationship barely moved the needle from reluctant companions to okay, we're in this together. But that's not a plot. That's like two people's relationship barely changed. And it doesn't take 400 pages for that change to happen.
There's the
okay.
whole backstory of, the alien invasion and the overlords running the
That's
thing.
world building though. That's not a plot. It's not like you're setting the background for all you're doing is setting the background for the conflict. The conflict is the Earth has been taken over and now there's these dungeons and if you win, like once you're in it, you have to survive to win for in order to go on to the next phase. But there's no why are they doing this? How is he he's not playing any role into stopping the overall conquest of
Well, okay,
Earth.
no, first of all, you don't I would argue that that isn't necessarily the case. But second of all, if
In
you
the
abs
first book, he does nothing to do that. He
yeah, in the first okay, hold on. In the first book, he's like trying to figure out the different families at play and trying to kind of start
yeah,
pitting them against
yeah.
each other. And so,
There's
granted,
no pitting against there's only that one interview section where he in order to survive the interview,
the
he
interview
pits them
section,
against
well,
each other, but that's
and
not part of the
no, no,
overarching conflict.
and he's like realizing that there's some people that aren't as like that aren't as that are also like slaves to the system that he's used to view as adversaries that he's now viewing as maybe like helpers for him.
Again, that's revealing more of the world. That is not
Right, but
him
Jake, I guess what I'm saying is
being
any
part of a
element you
plot.
can abstract away from plot. Like you can abstract away Lord of the Rings with like, oh, you have a world that
Let's
has
try
been
it.
built.
Let's try
Right,
it.
right. You have a
I'm
world
literally
that's
reading The Fellowship right now, so I'm
gosh.
totally down to do that.
Okay, well, okay. For the sake of time, I would say you have a world that's been built. It's a great world. You have
Hmm.
languages, but that's all world building. You have
Yeah,
a
that's not
group of
plot, that's world building.
right. You have a group of characters that are walking along a road with an objective to get somewhere, and they encounter different obstacles on the way that they have to overcome, and then eventually they get to the place and they do the thing. Like is like that is all like like I don't know. What part does that like cross into plot versus what Crawler Carl did?
The difference is again, like he's going through the dungeons, like he's put in this situation. He
Right.
has
Frodo is put
and
in the situation. He's given a ring.
no, yeah, no, he's put into a situation. He's just going from room to room with the purpose of leveling up. There's nothing else. In Lord of the Rings, yes, they're going from place to place with the goal of dropping off the ring, and you could say that's like getting max level or whatever. But there's like stakes behind it, and like there's ups and downs of this character wants this thing, this character wants this thing. They're working together. There's like they're coming against each other. There's like character growth with being reluctant to be a part of it, to like becoming more like doubling down on the mission at hand. And I'm doing a
Yeah.
bad job right now, I can
Well,
tell.
no, no.
But
But I,
it's there's no
I mean,
like
here we
there's
have you have some stakes. There's stakes of survival, obviously, and
and
there's also
yeah,
stakes of humanity. I think
uh,
that's
yeah.
I don't
There's
remember how much that's a part of the first book,
no. That's
but
definitely a part of
I
the first
mean,
book. He's like trying not to stoop to their level,
like
and
he's not.
he
He literally he thinks in his head like, oh wow, that's savage. But like that's it. Like there's no moment where he like
well,
the book is not.
he has the whole run-in with Frank and Maggie, who are the player
Yeah,
killers, right? Kind of.
yeah, but that's well,
whoa, Jake,
that's
that was cool.
I
You
adjusted
hired
some
a
zoom settings.
cameraman over there?
Shouldn't have done that. It's it is so surface level. It's like checking a box, but there's no actual depth to like in a book with like an actual character plot or anything going forward, there would be more of him like pondering every decision he's making. Like there'd be a tally. If that's the focus of it, like not losing the humanity, there'd be like tallies going back and forth. Like he made this decision, and so his humanity's going up. He made this decision, his humanity's going down.
Well, he
But they
kind of
just
does, dude. What do you?
they don't. They barely
Yes, he
surface
does.
level
He
touch on
no,
it.
he has to like spend some time. He ends up staying with the people that he knows he shouldn't stay with as part of a group and the nursing home people. But then he like ends up killing like the children of whatever that demon was, or like there's
Yeah, and it's played off as like a joke.
no, it's not.
There's no moment of him actually pondering it.
There is. He's like, this is a crappy situation. I'm not going to let myself feel bad because I've been put here and I have to survive
Yeah,
it.
and that's it. That's what I'm saying. There's no pondering on it. Like that's all there is, and then it's moving on to the next part. There's way more focus of him going through menus, leveling up the different gear, and then there is a little bit of world building, but like I kept waiting for the end for there to be some sort of reveal, some sort of twist to like, oh, here's what's actually happening, here's what this is all for. But instead, the only thing at the end is like, okay, you're gonna be level 3, pick a race or pick a class. Oh, I guess it's a race and a class
Yeah.
you pick.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, yeah, I agree that it didn't have like a super satisfying end, but I think that that's also because it's like going into it that it's going to be a like long book series. So
But it's yeah, there's just like all he did is go from dungeon to dungeon with little breaks in between.
okay, but like that's fair. Like obviously that's true. I just think that like you can abstract any book away to saying something like that, and that's like also taking away like all the imagination behind the series. Like you have all these like cool like situations and like as somebody that doesn't play a lot of video games, it was cool. Like I hardly play any video games. I probably play video games like twice a year. And so it's cool getting like that itch scratched a little bit of like, oh, here's like a world that's like not too serious that like has these imaginative creatures in it and you can kind of like go throughout it. So I don't know, like that's a lot
I
of.
think if that hits the box for people, like that's totally great. That part didn't work for me, but again, I think that's a separate critique than the plot. I think like when the book started, a lot of the menu stuff and like the video gamey stuff, I was like, I'm not really feeling this, but as a movie, I think it would work because you get it more visually. And as a video game, obviously, it would work. But again, like I don't think like it would still for a movie, it would still need the plot elements to work completely, and I don't think it has that. I think as a video game, it would be fine, and it would be like a mindless, just like if you've played Twilight Princess, it would be like the sand pit in the middle of the desert where you just go like one floor at a time, challenge after challenge, trying to see how far you can go. Like it'd be that
The
type of video
Gauntlet.
game. Yeah,
I mean,
and that would be fine.
The Zelda games have about as much plot as Dungeon Carl
Yeah,
Carl ever does.
well, uh, I don't fully agree with that, but I'm saying as a video game, I think it would work because video games, you're doing stuff. You don't need the plot to drive it for a lot of video games. Like it's fine to not have it. Like Mario doesn't really have a plot, but it's still fun to play. But a book or a movie or a show needs an actual plot. And so like I that kind of stuff didn't work for me from the get-go, but I think it would have
So
felt more like Dresden if I felt like it had a plot along with it.
I'm okay. I can agree with that. I think one reason why I'm also slightly okay with it not having as strong of a plot is because I feel like this is kind of recognizing what happens when you're just like a NPC, right? Like if you're just like you've been swept up into a force that's 100 times greater than yourself and you're just like at the whim. And so yeah, like you don't have very much agency in this situation. You're gonna be trying to survive, and that's like what you're trying to do, which doesn't lend itself to a plot traditionally, right? Like that's just kind of the nature of the story.
I think there are a lot of books whose focus is on the main characters not having agency in the story that actually have a story too. I think Malazan's a good example of like the main point is all of these people are just pawns in the plots and like the
But
plots as in
do
like
they know that they're just a
machinations of
pawn?
gods. They do know, yeah, the majority do know they're just pawns in it. And then it's them doing the best they can to have some sort of impact. And then like with Malazan, they are able to pull off impacts. And it's like a story of even the smallest can have an effect. And that like balancing of mortals and gods. I think Ender's Game comes to mind. Like a lot of it is Ender is just like at the whims of the
I mean,
battle
he's using a
school.
lot of agency to kind of create a team and train the
Yeah,
team, you know.
but the whole point is they constantly change the rules to put him at disadvantage. Like that's the whole point of the battle school is as soon as he solves the puzzle they give him based on the rules, then they change the rules so that way he's at a disadvantage again, and then he has to try to solve that puzzle over and over and over.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, and so like I think those are good examples of the point of it being you're in this helpless situation and there's still a story behind it.
That's fair.
I mean, for me, with any story, it's about being able to fulfill the promise of the book. And I think it's pretty clear right from the get-go that this is a very unserious book and it's a survival book. And yeah, maybe he's not, like Ben was saying, he's like not really in a position to really have a ton of agency and make a big difference. Later books, there is more of that as he kind of gets a little bit of leverage and knowledge, and he gets into more quests and things start happening. So it does expand scope a decent amount. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are okay with the story, and a lot of people really enjoy these because it's not trying to be anything more than I think what it initially promises, which is a fun time, creative action, scratches that video game itch, which a lot of people can enjoy pretty easily. I just feel like this is not your thing at all, but I think there
It's
is like that there are I mean there's a lot of redeeming qualities to it that people have enjoyed.
I totally acknowledge a lot of those things aren't for me, but I disagree with the whole thing fulfilling the promise of the book because there's
What promise did it break?
the promise of having like when you have a book like this, there's an implicit promise of some sort of like payoff resolution at the end, and there wasn't. There was no difference between the climax of him clearing the second level as getting to the third level. Like it was all the same. And like if there had been some sort of like climactic element to it that
I
differentiated
don't
it
know,
from the
dude.
other levels,
They
I
built
feel
them.
like
They
no, as if they had done that, I would have felt like, oh, okay, this is just not for me, but it's a book. But what this feels
it's a
like,
book. You don't even give it the
no, because
title of a book.
no, because what this feels like to me is he wrote these in some sort of like episodic serialized way where it's just like, here's this, then here's this, like as if you were publishing them in a weekly comic strip, and then he compiled all those into one without deciding,
That is
oh,
what a
I'm
lot
gonna
of lit
have.
RPG is. Like a lot of lit RPG started as these really serialized things, and there's a lot of different flavors of it. And so I mean it's not surprising to me that this is
So
more of a long game story than each book having a solidified arc. Like it really is just kind of building and building and building towards later
okay,
stuff. That's kind of how the genre works.
then what should have happened with the editor published, I think there's a self-published, I don't know like what he had when it came to editor. What should have happened is like, okay, if you're going to compile these into a book to publish, like you need to compile it at a point where there's a classic rising action, climax, falling
And so
action.
maybe he said,
Because
"Oh, like that could make sense when they beat the level 99 monster and then become a new race."
yeah, and that wasn't a good spot to do it, is what I'm saying. Because it feels like you're reading Calvin and Hobbes, like a book of Calvin and Hobbes, which is, I love Calvin and Hobbes, but I would never consider that like a story. Like there's no plot to the Calvin and Hobbes collection of books, even though there are some callbacks and things happen, they do this, they do that. But what it is, they're just separate little vignettes. There's no
Okay.
like connective
Dude,
tissue.
there's a big arc in the babysitter stories. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's
Check
some
that.
connected stories in there, but like the whole book, you wouldn't say this whole book had all these things that you would expect from a published sci-fi book.
I don't know, man. This is what I mean. That I I disagree with it. I think that these books have become enormously popular for a reason. And
Okay, that's a
probably
huge
because
fallacy. Popularity just has no bearing on
no,
quality either.
I mean, but it at least deserves the title of a book. Like you at least have to
It's
give it that.
Well, I'm
This
saying it didn't fulfill the
this
promise that
guy
a book
found
promises.
this guy found a new niche that like appealed to a wide swath of
I
people.
mean, lit RPG has existed way before Dungeon Crawler
Right.
Carl.
It existed, but it wasn't nobody had ever found a
He's
way
the
to
he's the mainstream hit from it. And
right.
and like all I'm saying is like look at there it has as much plot as a collection of Calvin and Hobbes.
Okay. Well, fair enough. I would
I
tend to
just think
disagree with
like
that.
imagine if it could have
I
been
don't know,
like
Jake. I
Ready
feel like
Player
part of this
One.
is coming across as like old man shouting at clouds about the new
No,
thing that,
no,
or
it's
maybe not
it's
old man, but like English professor, you know, sh
it's literally
upset
not
that.
like like I said, Dresden wasn't my thing, but like Dresden does not suffer from
But
no
like,
plot.
can you argue that like that's one of the things that maybe makes this appeal to people is that they're not having to keep track of a plot?
Maybe,
Like
maybe, but
so
but again, if you're reading a
is
book and the pro is you don't have to keep track of a plot, like
well, hold on. Is a
the
plot
hell, like the
hold on, is a plot a necessary condition for a book to exist, right? Like, can you
I
not
think that's an
have
implicit promise in the book. Yeah.
you can't have a book that just has great characters interacting and talking with each other and progressing through their lives and living their days and overcoming trials and challenges. That's not like a good enough book for you. And then you put
No,
and then you put that
not
in
without some sort of plot. Like
and
I
then
think
you
it could have been the lit RPG, like basically like Ready Player One. Like all they had to do is have some sort of like plot to it, like some sort
okay.
of actual story besides we're getting to the next level.
I do think
So,
that
given that this is the structure of the series, how does this hypothetical plot exist? Like, what is your
Like
what is your you have a
there's like
magic wand. What needs to be added to it?
there's breadcrumbs. Obviously, there's some sort of like Ben was mentioning. There's like conflict between the different factions that are part of like part of uh the system putting on the dungeons. I don't know how to say it. Like there's different factions
Hmm.
there. There's we don't know the full reasoning of why or how this happened to Earth. Like there's something there. Like it feels similar to Hitchhiker's Guide and just the fact that like Earth was in the like Earth by happenstance was in the way of this thing happening for some reason. So you could dive into that more, like, and that could be like, oh, we need to stop, undo this, or maybe Earth is toast, but we have to try to stop this on the next planet. Like things like that could have been brought up more than
Dude,
just like little sprinkles of world building.
you know what's funny is that I just got done reading Hail Mary and The Martian, and honestly, a lot of these things that you're describing could apply to those books as well. This guy wakes up, finds himself in a situation, has to overcome challenge after challenge until a resolution
Oh,
happens.
and one thing they do really well that doesn't just feel like monotonous science questions after science questions is like the character growth. Like in Project Hail Mary, you get these flashbacks to who he was, why he was in the situation of just teaching, and how he gets
Yeah,
brought out of
Project Hail
that.
Mary
Put
did
it
that a
in
little bit
there.
better than The Martian, I will say.
But and that's something they could have done with Dungeon Crawler Carl. We know there's conflict with his ex-girlfriend who cheated on him. So I was
The
expecting
cat was
her to
definitely.
I was expecting her to be in the dungeon somewhere to and like have met them in the third act, like something like that to like then pull together his past life to this new dungeon life and like some sort of conflict there. Like if she had been part of was it Frank's team or whoever the
Yeah.
like the
Oh,
far gone people,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
something like that could
for
have
sure.
been like
I
more stuff along that vein does happen later. I mean, yeah, in
it
the
should have
first book,
happened in a the first
but
book
there's
should
not
have had
a
elements of that.
I
a ton
don't
of
think
theme.
like if we're
Let me throw a grenade in all this. I care very little about any of the stuff you're suggesting as far as like the alien overlords don't really care. His past don't really care. I'm just there for like the next thing
Which
the
is
next
fine.
like gear thing he gets, the next like I just that just like scratches this video game itch and it's
Totally
like
fine.
this is back to like early Final Fantasy, and I love that stuff. And even if there's not like a massive story to it going on in the background, just the back and forth and the progression through it is like it's super
scratches
addicting
itch.
for some reason.
No,
So
and I think that's totally fine. I just think it's weird to not be able to accept the critique
I'm not I'm
of the
not,
no
not
plot.
accepting it. I accept that there's very little plot, but
I
I
accept that that matters to you a lot, but I also accept that I don't really care.
No, and
um
I think it's fine you don't care. Like I said, like it's what it feels like this discussion has been is like when people say like it's the same like I feel like we have been critical of this of people who really like romantasy and you're like, but this is clearly a flawed book. Like Fourth Wing or A Court of Thorns and Roses. We've all felt like these are clearly flawed books, and then
whoa, speak for yourself.
a lot of
Masterpieces.
pushback, a lot of pushback on that has been like, yeah, but I just like reading. That's fine, and I think that's totally fine if you like a book for that. But if you like a book for just the like the surface levelness of it, you can't critique someone who's doing a more in-depth analysis of it and critiquing it.
That's
And so
fair.
like I'm saying, it's totally fine to like it. I'm just saying these are why I don't like the reasons I don't like it, and
Okay. In the final 3 minutes, I wanted to raise a discussion topic. I was listening to a panel, and he talked about how his Patreons can vote on something. I think a plot element, ironically enough, but I think it's like more like, oh, is the big boss guy in this book gonna be like an X or a Y?
mhm.
How do we feel about that? Because that is like kind of a new way of authors interacting with fans.
I th that is like I think that's a totally fun experience, especially for like self-published people. I again personally I wouldn't be as into it because I care more about reading like a crafted story than participating in storytelling when it comes to books. Um, but
Okay, so you don't
I
have too
think
much of a problem with that. Yeah.
I think it's a fun idea.
I
Like
think
if
Yeah.
you were
it works for this type of story where it is
yeah.
like very much those details don't really matter at all. But it
Right.
doesn't work for like,
Yeah, like
epic fantasy or
you wouldn't want like somebody voting
you
on
wouldn't want, Brandon Sanderson doing this basically.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
There's this there's this there's this D&D comic. I think it's called The Weekly Roll or something like that. And I really like them. They're like 5 panel comics each week. And I really like them as comics, but if someone had converted that to text and I read
Yeah.
that and it was like a book, I would be so disappointed at the end of it.
This actually goes back. I think it was the same panel. The author of Red Rising said that like every book he has a hat that he draws names out of, like or a name out of, and whoever's name he draws has to die in the battle.
Has to die.
And he's trying to capture like the just the
Yeah,
grittiness of battle. So it's a similar like
yeah.
like oh I just
Oh,
gotta
this was the Nexus panel.
yeah this is the Nexus panel. Yeah, were
Oh,
you there?
okay. Yeah. Yeah, we were there for that one.
Oh nice.
I remember him talking about his Patreon. I don't remember Pierce Brown saying he draws names out, but
No,
that was
I
a
don't know if that was
surprise.
the same. I think that was a separate video I was watching from
Oh,
Pierce
okay.
Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea, like especially with like what kind of thing to boss. Like I think it works with the humor of the book, but also like the loot is somewhat randomized anyways, so like I think
Right.
it works for that kind of stuff too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but
I think the
So
romantasy comparison was fair. I can,
so yeah.
yeah, I think that's actually pretty valid as far as just kind of leaning into preferences.
yeah, and I think it's totally fine. People like it and like they want to read it, that's fine. I think the only time I would really care is if somebody is trying to like talk literary merit between this book and another book, and like I can't think of any other book that would lose to it when it comes to literary merit. But that's not what the book is for, which is totally fine. So
There. Yeah. All right. Well, I take it you're not going to continue reading the series?
no, I honestly should have DNF'd, but I was like, if we're gonna review it, I should finish it just because I literally thought like there's got to be something at the end that maybe that'll hook me into the next one.
Yeah.
All they had to do is have some sort of like again like Ready Player One's a good example of hitting that video game itch while having like an actual like plot behind it.
Jake, do you remember when Josh got nasty comments for one of his negative reviews? It was a
What
little
was it
while
for?
back.
What was it
I feel like
for?
it I feel like it was for that John Gwynn series, the
Oh, yeah, I haven't read those.
yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah,
yeah, soak it
Josh didn't
up.
like it. Yeah. Yeah, so he
Trash
got
me
he
in the
got a lot of hate.
comments.
So what I'm
Bring it
saying
on.
is you're gonna have to deal with that, man.
That's fine.
I'm
I
not
know I
feeling
didn't
bad for you.
This is going
I
to be
know
the
I
first
didn't
time Phantology clips an episode, and it's just going to be Jake trashing DCC the whole time.
Uh
yeah. I know I didn't represent my side super well, so yeah, pile on.
yeah.
Make sure you do it on our YouTube and our Instagram, um,
Uh-huh.
and in our
Yeah,
Discord. Join us there
the
to
the
talk crap
Princess
about it.
Donut fan club is gonna come after you, dude. Just so you
Oh my
know.
gosh. Yeah, and that's one of the things just like humor wise, like none of it landed. It was
I thought it was funny, man. You just have to have
GDD.
fun with it.
I don't understand how you don't like Sanderson humor, but you thought this was good. It's the same, if not maybe a tier below.
Because it's like all video game humor.
It fulfills the promise that it set out to do, Jake. It does it perfectly.
It fulfills
I
the
do.
humor fulfills the promise.
It
I think
does.
I think it's interesting that Ben likes it enough because Ben doesn't really have this background, but for like me growing up with all these JRPGs and stuff, like this was exactly I mean, I think that's why I liked it so much is because there's so much nostalgia and everything that's happening and like all it's all based around that. And I know you didn't really play those either, so I feel like
Well,
maybe you missed some of
I
that
played a
stuff.
lot of RPG. I didn't play a lot of JRPGs, but like this is more action RPG than JRPG, I'd say.
you guys know what's
Like
Yeah,
crazy
but
though?
with all the stat blocks and
no, I
the
mean
specific
I played a lot of
Steven,
RPGs.
to that
yeah.
point, Lindsay read this book before I did actually. She enjoyed it. She had criticisms that are not at all what we talked about today, but she has no idea of what lit RPG is, like zero.
Lindsay and
So
You know
Jake need
what?
a combo podcast for
You know what
this.
this,
That would
you
really.
know what, when I hear stories like this, like people who aren't really into sci-fi or fantasy read a sci-fi or fantasy book that I think is trash, and they're like, "Yeah, it's all good." I'm like, you just must think this whole genre sucks, and you're just
no, I mean
like
she's read Mistborn. She's read a
just
few
like
things.
entertain. Yeah, exactly. And what it makes me think is she thinks those are like they're just like placating us with like, oh yeah, I read it, it was good, it was good. I'm like, wait, you thought those two were on the same tier? Like, how is this possible?
No, I don't think they're in the same
You must
tier.
you must think the whole genre is so low that they're
No,
compressed to the same
and the
tier.
crazy thing is, she actually read this one. She didn't even listen to it because it was like checked out on Libby in text, and so she's just like sitting there reading DCC.
I may
Uh,
I may have
the audiobook
enjoyed
was really
some of
good.
it.
The
I was
audiobook
gonna
was
say the
good.
opposite. I may have enjoyed it more without the audiobook. I know a lot of people love it.
Dude, it's super well produced. It like adds to the whole feel of it.
The David Puddy impersonation was just off for me. Like it was a good impersonation, but I think it detracted from the experience.
Man, we might need to do a part two on this one. I'm
I'm
excited.
just I'm just saying, like I said, literally nothing about this book like
I don't
succeeded for
even think
me.
you should call it a book.
I,
You're a
I don't think
literally nothing
it
about
is
this collection of words.
it's a published book that did not fulfill the basic promise that a book makes.
What's
Fair
the
enough.
actor who plays Putty?
Oh, I can't remember his name. Um,
Oh, Pat, yeah, he's actually in his voice is in one of the later books. So that's really
really?
funny that
Patrick
you mentioned
Warburton,
that.
is that his name?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Well, the narrator was clearly doing an impression of him.
For Carl.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Oh, I never got that. But
Really?
I guess I see it. Yeah.
It's
All right.
I thought it was
That's
Patrick
gonna
Warburton
that's gonna be
narrating
a
it when I
wrap.
okay.
No, it's not. It's not. That dude, that narrator's really talented. He does all the voices himself. But
Well,
anyway,
I'm just saying stylistically it didn't hit for me.
that's a wrap. So flame away on our Discord. Go after Jake only. But I don't know if you agree with Jake, you can go after me and Ben too. If you want to hear more reviews from Photology, you can join our Discord. Invites are in the episode link below. See you next time.
Yep.
See ya.